Tonight on CTV News, an update on a crash that left Prospect Road closed for hours.
Then the power outage that left half of campus in the dark. Hear what students had to say.
And finally, how the new tobacco law is affecting students. All this and more on CTV News 11.
Thank you for joining us tonight on CTV News 11. I'm Edgar Cedillo.
And I'm Lauryn Orcutt. A 36-year-old man was seriously injured. The crash that shut down the intersection of Prospect Road and Whitcomb Street for just over 3 hours Tuesday afternoon.
A motorcycle had struck the rear end of a sedan, according to police. The driver of the sedan was a 19-year-old woman who was not injured in the crash. Police are asking anyone with other information to contact Officer Drew Jerkovsky at 970-416-2224.
A woman who is suspected of being involved in the death of a Bellevue man was identified as 48-year-old Heather Frank of Greeley. Frank was found dead at her Weld County home after Larimer Sheriff's investigators were led to her house through a tip. The Weld County Coroner's Office has not yet released the cause of her death.
The woman who was found dead at the Larimer County Jail has been identified as 30-year-old Jenny Roffles of Fort Collins. Right now, authorities have ruled out any foul play, but are still waiting on the coroner to investigate the cause of her death. Her death makes it the seventh this makes it the seventh death at the county jail in the past 12 years.
The Larimer County Coroner's Office has ruled the death of a man and a woman in South Fort Collins a murder-suicide. 56-year-old Robin Barrett was fatally shot by 47-year-old Scott Rothgerry, who also shot himself but later died at the hospital. Police said Barrett and Rothgerry were in a romantic relationship and had gotten into an argument hours before. Larimer County officials remind residents that if you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, you can call Crossroads Safe House at 970-482-3502 or the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255.
Students who live on the west side of campus were left in the dark literally and figuratively this past Tuesday, wondering where all the power went. Kenneth Frederick was there and has more from what happened with what residents had to deal with for 4 hours. Kenny, what happened?
The power is out in most of the west side of campus from around 8:30 at night till about 1 o'clock in the morning. An official from CSU's Utilities Department stated that the outage was caused by a broken switchgear in the electrical system on campus. The switch was on the B-line grid, which controls power from the west side of campus. Many students were unable to work on school due to the Wi-Fi cutting out, but for the most part, they were unaffected by the blackout.
At the time of a blackout, I was writing an essay for my history class, which I was hoping I could finish that same night, but did not happen.
CSU facilities say that these outages are very rare and that students shouldn't be worried about events like this in the future. Back to you, Edgar and Lauren.
Thanks, Kenny. Larimer County could soon become one step closer to regulating oil and gas setbacks. Right now, the county doesn't have a setback within those rules. The Larimer County currently follows Colorado regulations, but the county Planning Commission has recommended the setback be increased to about 1,000 feet, up from 500 feet from any home or business. The Larimer County Commissioners are expected to look at the proposal on March 23rd.
We all know if you want to buy a drink in Colorado, you have to be 21. And now a new nationwide law is also requiring you to be 21 instead of 18 in order to buy tobacco and nicotine products. I decided to see just exactly how this new law is affecting the Fort Collins community. Carl North was an avid smoker, but that all changed when he realized just how addicted he was.
It was really just not a great thing to have to go back to the store, and it was a necessity at that point, and I realized that it wasn't going to further my education, and it was actually destroying my mind.
And Carl is not alone, because nicotine addiction affects millions each year. Now that level of addiction makes complete sense, because just one of these nicotine pods equals an entire pack of cigarettes. However, things will begin to change because as of January 1st, the legal age to buy tobacco products in Colorado is now 21 years old. Those in the health industry say this law is beneficial because addiction starts young.
Middle schoolers, high schoolers, and then college-age population are the highest users of vaping devices compared to the rest of the population.
But others say the law is unfair to those already addicted.
They're probably over the age of 18 and just under the age of 21, where they probably got addicted to nicotine when it was legal for them to.
As for Carl, he won't be impacted by this new law because his smoking days are over. So how is this going to be enforced? Well, it's just like drinking. Tobacco and smoke shops are IDing customers and making sure that they are of age.
It's a really interesting look at the new law. Well, Fort Collins City Council approved the proposed development that could soon bring nearly 4,000 homes to Northeast Fort Collins. The Montavo development is expected to sit on 1,000 acres in Northeast Fort Collins by the Anheuser-Busch factory. The developers hope that the area is built out in 16 phases, which would mean that the full build-out won't be complete for another 25 years.
More student apartments could soon be coming to South Campus. The proposed 3-story apartment building would add just over 50 units. Now, for anyone who's interested, the city will be holding a meeting to discuss the development at Plymouth Congregational Church at 916 West Prospect Road, just south of Canvas Stadium.
After a Trump executive order that allowed local governments to consent to allow refugees in the region, some local groups in Laramie County are helping with that transition.
After a waited for President Trump on the issue of refugee minors in the United States, the issue has made its way to the state capitol and to the county level as well.
Our local politicians really understand what it means to be a vulnerable child.
Not only does Lutheran Family Services build relationships with local politicians, but they build relationships here at CSU.
CSU, we partner with them. There's international studies students who provide tutoring.
After a partnership with Lutheran Family Services and several students at CSU, they help minors adapt to life in the United States, including a former CSU student who also moved to the U.S.
Now there's an actual connection, like we know each other. She knows about my life, I know about hers.
But sometimes that connection leads to learning that doesn't always involve the classroom.
Of course, but I get questions about the culture, and it's like, well, this happened at school today, and I thought it was weird. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Or
Services that Lutheran Family Services offers, you can visit lfsrm.org. You know, Lauren, when you go shopping, what do you usually think about?
I usually think about price and style, and that's pretty much it.
Well, did you ever think about the environment?
I usually don't, no.
Well, Remy Kelbel went to find out to speak to some students just about that. Remy?
Thanks, Edgar and Lauren. You know, I talked with a CSU student who gave me more insight into how CSU is teaching students to be more eco-friendly, all while designing their own clothes.
Fast fashion helps make clothes more affordable, but the industry contributes to environmental damage.
Often we're told like fast fashion is bad, but how can we make it better? Because obviously people aren't going to stop buying from H&M.
With a growing need for cheaper clothing, environmental damage becomes a huge concern.
If clothes are very cheap, you obviously know that they're either not good for the environment or they have bad labor standards because they're not paying enough. So once you buy cheap clothing, like you realize, oh, this probably came from either like bad working conditions or it's really bad for the environment.
Concern. Seasonal trends only make this problem worse because people want something new, ultimately throwing clothes away and further contributing to this issue.
That's why it's called fast fashion, because all of the different seasons, and if you think about it, plaid might be in season for 3 weeks, but then it's not, and then people throw it away because they're like, oh, I can't wear it anymore. So that's kind of where the sustainability plays a role.
But CSU professors are teaching students how to make sustainable designs that helps the environment overall.
So a lot of our professors do research in sustainability and how it affects it, and do different studies with different students on how to be more sustainable.
CSU is adapting to a growing concern of sustainability in the industry, and here they learn to be eco-friendly.
You know, Savannah Clark told me that to produce one cotton shirt, it takes 700 gallons of water. I mean, I just think that's insane. What about you, Lauren?
I completely agree, Remy. Now, is there a way that students can be more aware?
You know, students can actually help the environment by repurposing their old clothing and donating them, which is a lot better.
Well, what a neat story, Remy. Thank you. Well, it might be an election year in Colorado, but one Colorado town just elected someone that has all of Colorado talking. Krista, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Edgar. This story that I have is the first time I've ever really been excited about politics. Find out why after the break.